What's good? What's good? What's good, people? We gotta talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's be about it. I'm so thankful for everybody coming in, tapping in, rocking with your boy, rocking with your boy. You know what time it is, man. Smash that like button when you're coming in. But I gotta introduce this stream the right way. I gotta introduce this the right way, man. We gotta do it the righteous way, bro. Let's go. We got some feedback. I gotta take that out of the building. Let's go. I go, man. World Boss 3. We're gonna let some people come in. Mm. Mm. Mhm. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Mhm. We're ready in. Mhm. Nightmare. Okay. Okay. Nightmare. Oh, come on now. Mm. Come on, let go. Uh-uh. A nightmare. Mhm. Mhm. Oh, man, my people, man. I'm so thankful that y'all are rocking with your boy on this prestigious Saturday night of, August 3rd. We gotta celebrate. And we had to start off with the legend himself, Mr. Vibes Cartel, who just got released from prison a few days ago. We gotta go another Vibes track. I'm sorry, man. We gotta do another one. And this is something that came off of his, yes, he released a mixtape, right? He released a mixtape, no lie, yesterday. He got released 3 days ago, released a mixtape yesterday. The work rate is crazy. We gotta go listen to it. We gotta listen to the track specifically. Where's the track, man? Where's the track? It's the menace. Give me a second while I get us information, man. And if you coming in right now, I better have you making that love to that like button, man. When you coming in, you better press that like button. Show some love to the like button, man, as we make things go, man. Let's do that. Let's do that. Let's do that. Appreciate y'all for tapping in. We're gonna talk a lot about a lot of things. Talk about a lot of things. You know what I mean? But the key here is we're gonna try to make sure that we're talking about real things, not fake things. We're gonna talk about what's happening in the world. You know what I mean? And make sure that we're aligned in a sense. You know? And if you are vibing with a little bottle, a little something that you have, vibe out with your boy, vibe out with me, man. Where is this track? G? Is it this one? No, I don't think it's this one. There we go. That's this. Yeah. Mhm. Uh, in a sense, uh, mm, you gotta have some rum with it. Rum and Red Bull. No, rum and orange juice. Yeah. Mm, 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 mm. Hey. Mm, 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 mm. Hey. Vibes Cartel, man. And if you didn't know, and if you've been living under a rock, Vibes Cartel was released from a 13-year prison sentence. And he's been free. He's the greatest dancehall artist, one of the best overall. I personally think he's a great artist overall. You know what I mean, regardless of genre. So shout out to him. Free World Boss is free. We used to say free World Boss, but World Boss is free. So we gotta salute that. And I wanted to start off with them two tracks. We could go off on a whole playlist, but shout out to the people who actually are at Caribana weekend. Me myself, I'm not Caribbean, but I do love Caribbean culture, Caribbean people, and I have a lot of respect for them as black people all over in the world. I want y'all to get the likes up, man. When y'all pull up, I want y'all to show some love and get the likes in. Mm. As we talk about some serious ish today, man, and we're gonna talk about some controversial ish today, man. So let me start this off with the boxing controversy. Okay. If y'all ain't been in the loop, I'm gonna play a little video right now. If you guys are watching on video, I'm putting up a video of the boxer Iman Khalif, Iman Khalif, Algerian boxer, who boxed against the Italian boxer, who I am losing the name. I'm actually forgetting the name. Uh, Angela Carini. Okay. So here's the controversy. They were basically in a boxing fight, and it became very viral, very, very huge. So this boxer, Imani Khalifi, right? Khalif is an Algerian boxer. There's a controversy about his or her gender. Okay, so let's watch this. Let's watch this. So for the people who are not watching or listening only on audio, Imani is in the red versus the Italian Angela Carini, who is in the blue. They're boxing. Imani is clearly winning, and she or he is dominant and looks extremely masculine, faster, stronger compared to Angela Carini. With Angela, with Imani. It ended in 46 seconds, all right? And Carini withdrew after about 2 hits. She cited intense pain in the nose. And Carini, said it wasn't fair. Essentially, it was crying it's not fair because of the hard punch and all these things. So Algeria actually defended Khalif, saying the reaction towards Khalif was unethical targeting and baseless propaganda. So to give y'all a bit of background, all right, uh, the IBA president, all right, International Boxing Association, had previously banned Khalifi from boxing in a tournament, right? They had banned her from boxing in a tournament for the simple fact that she or he had two XY chromosomes. So me, I'm reading the Wikipedia page right here, so I'm going to read a little bit of the background from it. So in March 2023, Khalifi competed for the gold medal in the finals of the IBA Women's Boxing Championship. However, she was disqualified shortly before her gold medal bout against Chinese boxer Yang Lui for failing to meet the IBA's eligibility criteria. Mm. According to the Algerian Olympic Committee, Khalif, Khalif's disqualification was disqualified due to medical reasons. Later reports indicated her testosterone levels were too high to compete. Uzbekistan boxer Navbarok Kamiladova, okay, was awarded the bronze medal instead of Iman Khalif. In 2023, IBA President Umar Kamlev said the disqualifications was because DNA tests proved that they had XY chromosomes. So in this situation, you know what I mean? We're talking about Imani Khalif right here, who's in front of your screen right now, who has elevated levels of XY chromosomes. Now, easily, y'all know, y'all talk biology, man. XX is female, XY is male. So the president of IBA is saying they have male chromosomes. The Washington Post said it remains unclear what standard Khalif and Lin Yuting failed in 23 to lead to the disqualification. Further writing, there's never been evidence that Khalif had XY chromosomes or elevated levels of testosterone. The IBA did not reveal the testing methodology and stated that the specific remains confidential. So somebody out here is lying. Okay? Somebody here is lying, right? But we can't pretend like we didn't see what we didn't see. And what I'm talking about, what we saw, was this video. So I'm gonna play it back. I'm gonna run it back again. Again. Angela's getting an ass beat. Angela Carini, the Italian. Boom. So just keep it in mind and quit. Because Imani, the he, she, whatever gender you want to describe, had too much power. And that's what happens when you have testosterone, or at least the abilities or strength of a man. Men, we have testosterone. That's the juice in us that gives us the strength and power and endurance that supersedes women in a sense. It's the hormones, man. Women have estrogen, which makes them weaker in those domains, right? Like, let's say if a man had elevated levels of estrogen, he would be more feminine. He would probably develop breasts and would essentially develop female habits. You know what I'm saying? That's how it goes. That's nature. That's biology. So the IBA said they disqualified her from this championship, her or him, whatever you want to say this, right? And they didn't give specifics. So at the time, Khalif said that the ruling meant having characteristics as meant I can't box with women, and said she was a victim of a big conspiracy regarding the disqualification. She initially appealed to the courts of arbitration of sports, but later withdrew. That's not a good sign. In July 31st, 2024, regarding 2023 decision, the IBA stated that Khalif and others did not undergo a testosterone examination, but were subject to a separate and recognized test whereby the specifics remain confidential, and that they were found to have competitive advantages over female competitors. The following day, the IOC released their own statement in response, stating the IBA's decision was sudden and arbitrary and without any due process, and further stated the following. According to IBA minutes available on the website, the decision was initially taken solely by the IBA Secretary General and CEO. The IBA board only ratified it afterwards and only subsequently requested a procedure to follow in similar cases in the future to establish and reflect the IBA regulations. The minutes also say that the IBA should establish a clear process on gender testing. I'm just gonna keep it a being with you, man. This looks like a dude, man. This looks like a man. I'm just like I'm just gonna keep it like I hate to be that guy, but I'm gonna be that guy. It looks like a motherfucking man, man. It looks like a male individual. Okay? And to see, okay, let's say it's actually a woman. Obviously, I don't mean to disrespect. If this is actually a woman, I will say this. In Algeria is a North African country. It is also a Muslim majority country. It is also an Arabic country. If you put those cultures together, North African, Muslim, Arab, if you put those three together, they don't rock with transgenders. They do not rock with transgenders at all. What I believe is probably a woman with hormones that are elevated because of nature. And this is an anomaly. What do I mean as an anomaly? An anomaly is something that, a genetic mutant or freak, man. Some people not grow up, but like they're born with like an extra nipple or like three titties. You know what I mean? Or like, let's say they have like six fingers type ish. You know what I mean? Obviously, people are born with autism or all types of deformities and irregularities. What's happened is, that's my theory. My theory is Imani Khalifi is a hermaphrodite or intersex individual. What that mean? I'm glad you asked. A hermaphrodite. A hermaphrodite, by definition, right? A hermaphrodite is a sexual reproducing organism that produces both male and female gametes. Animals specified in which individuals are either male or female are gonochric, which is opposite of hermaphroditic. Okay? So what I'm talking about here is that this person exhibits male and female tendencies, elevated levels of testosterone. Okay, so here's the update, right? He or she won recently They won today because they're going in a couple rounds of boxing. Okay, so how can I say this? Oh wow, this website I'm on has a whole has a whole thing. But let me explain, man. When that whole controversy happened, a lot of people went wild on it, and specifically Megan Kelly. And I understand why, and I'm gonna explain why. So we're gonna play a little clip here of Megan Kelly reacting to that video of that Italian getting beat up in her ish, man. So hold up, hold up. By the way, if you're coming in and tuning in, you better be smacking that like button, man. I gotta see the likes. I gotta get them likes up, man. It's a Saturday night. I could be doing whatever, but I'm chilling here with y'all. So I need y'all to get those likes up, man, and show your boy some love, man. Let's listen to Megan Kelly's analysis of the situation.
On display at the Olympic Games. With the whole world watching, we have just witnessed a biological woman, also known as just a woman, in a fight with a boxer who was not allowed to compete against women last year because it's a man. The person splitting hairs, everyone's splitting hairs around this person, saying, well, he has XY chromosomes, but I guess we can't call him a man because he calls himself a woman. I don't give a shit. You have XY chromosomes, you're a man for athletic purposes and other purposes. And this person was banned from competing. You know why? Because it's a man. The outcome was beyond predictable for anyone with common sense. It took 46 seconds for the woman, his opponent from Italy, to withdraw from the fight in tears. The man is Algeria's Emain Khalif. He reportedly, repeatedly pummeled her in the face. Look at this below. Look at that. Walloped her. This is what female athletes are up against when the powers that be will not protect them. Megan Rapinoe says it's not happening. She says they're fine. Why don't you tell it to Italian boxer Angela Carini, literally brought to her knees and to tears? F you, Megan Rapinoe. You left the sport. You don't have to deal with this. Your kid, she doesn't have one, is not going to have to deal with this nonsense. Mine is, the listeners of this show have children who are going to have to deal with this. This poor boxer retreated to the corner, yelling, "This is unjust," as her Olympic dream came crashing down thanks to a weak-kneed international.
So that was Megan Kelly going up. And I'm going to be real with you. She makes a lot of sense. But also, she's grifting. She's being intentionally dishonest. Now, this came out, I believe, on Wednesday. That's when Megan Kelly said those things. But the facts had not fully presented themselves, and she jumped the gun. Why did she jump the gun? Because we have a situation in America, and by proxy in North America here, in Canada, where individuals who are biologically male are competing in women's sports. And it's not a huge pandemic or huge situation, but it's noteworthy because you have somebody like this. You know what I mean? Leah Thomas. Leah Thomas is a dude, and I don't care if this makes me sound bigoted or sound whatever. I don't give a damn. Leah Thomas is a man who was 400th ranked in college and then decided to become a transgender woman and compete against women, and subsequently destroyed other women in the competitions of swimming. Because why? It's a man. And men, we have testosterone, so we're going to be bigger, faster, stronger in almost all athletic competition. It's just how it works. It's just the facts of the matter. So when Megan Kelly goes off in such a manner, it's because she saw a literal man competing against women. And this, to a certain level, looks like a man, could be a man, could not be a man. It doesn't matter. It just looks really, really bad. The optics look horrible, look absolutely horrible. So at this point, right, you're dealing with a controversy of a North African Arab person, right? Who looks like she or he is utterly destroying women. And we had a remix of this happen with Leah Thomas, who I personally believe is a man who's cosplaying as a woman in order to beat other women in sports. Now, in the case of Leah Thomas, we have to speak out about this. We have to speak out about this, and we have to be forceful about this. The situation with Imani Khalif, I think, is a little dicey. And this situation gets even more dicey because Imani Khalif had been actually beaten a few times in boxing internationally. Actually, a lot of times. If we search up her record or his record, whatever you want to say. So we have something called BoxRec, which has the record. She or he has been beaten about 9 times. You know what I mean? Only 5 KOs. So does he or she have an athletic advantage compared to other women? Absolutely. Absolutely. Because he or she, and I'm going to keep on using that, Imani has elevated levels of testosterone. And let me tell you something, man. When you have elevated, that's like performance enhancing drugs, dog. That's borderline a PED. See, when you have performance enhancing drugs in your system, you're going to perform better. That's the reason they're called PEDs, right? The reason Lance Armstrong was using EPO was so that he can win the Tour de France multiple times. This is a performance enhancer. So, what we're dealing with is an anomaly. This is a person who I believe was born a woman, but is a woman who excretes extreme levels of testosterone, where she basically has the power or at least the strength of a man. And that's why you had Megyn Kelly go off. And that's why a lot of people went off. You know what I mean? You had individuals like Clarissa Shields. You know what I mean? I'm a big fan of Clarissa Shields. You know what I mean? Clarissa Shields is the one of the best female boxers, or you could argue, you know what I mean, she is the best female boxer. And this is what she had to say about the whole situation, bro. I'm gonna put her on right now. Shout out Clarissa Shields, man. Let's go.
So I was under the impression too that Iman had failed a gender test, but I'm being told that that is not true. That Iman Khalif was born a woman and just has taken a test that has high levels of testosterone,
Right.
which I don't remember in the amateurs ever was any of us ever tested for our levels of testosterone. So
Right.
this is all new, and I believe that women should fight against women, men should fight against men.
By the way, fair use, fair use. Shout out Clarissa Shields. She beating on shorties. She actually won a boxing match about 2 weeks ago. Beat the hell out of this bitch. Shout out Clarissa. Let's go.
And transgenders, if they're in boxing, to fight against transgenders. So to me, this whole something that's naturally in you, your testosterone, I don't know how, I mean, if Iman Khalif was born a man and now a woman, I totally disagree that they should be fighting.
Right.
But if Iman Khalif was born a woman and is a woman and has competed as a woman for multiple years, when did this testosterone testing start? Because
Right.
I didn't experience that. So I don't want to put the wrong narrative out there. You
Yep.
know, I hate that um how it's going. Nobody has the real facts. But when I just read
Right.
up on it, Iman Khalif and the other woman were born women and they naturally have high testosterone. But how are we judging the testosterone? Because are all the women being tested for testosterone?
Right. Clarissa, what would you do? I mean, if you were in this position, and it's perfectly possible that this could have happened to you if this had been a couple of years later, obviously, how would you have reacted? I mean, what do you do if you feel like this is not actually being played, contested on a level playing field?
By the way, I want y'all to get in the chat. Let me know how y'all feel about this. My thing is, when you talk, before she even comments on this, I think that Imani should have been disqualified. I think she should have been disqualified. She or he should have been disqualified, namely for the simple fact that if you have elevated levels of testosterone, you are not fighting other women on an equal playing field. Unless you punk those other women full of testosterone, then you're not fighting on an even playing field. That's like, bro, if y'all know anything about sports, man, let me show you. Let me show you this guy, man. You know what I mean? Let me show you some people in sports, you know what I mean, who were not going at an equal playing field and they were able to do some things in athletics that were out. Yeah, Sammy Sosa and Mark McGuire. Get in the chat if y'all remember this era of sports. I'm starting to get into baseball. Shout out baseball. And when you look at this era of, you know, of baseball, you had two individuals who were not playing at an even playing field, man. These M alphas were juiced up to the gills. They were pumping all type of PEDs. And now look, if you're pumping PEDs and busting out home runs, respect. Do it. But admit you're doing it and then make it clear that, yo, we're doing it. So let the competition know and make it available for the other comps. I would have no problem if there was a PED league of baseball. I actually would kind of like that on some real shit. I would actually kind of prefer that. I think that'd be very entertaining. But what you're dealing with in this situation, again, is Imani, who is a allegedly, we don't know everything for sure, is a woman that is competing against biological women. And this individual has an unfair advantage. So let's hear what an actual pro boxer, the greatest female boxer, in my opinion, has to say. Let's go.
Well, honestly, my understanding, I would get in there and go for it because it's my dreams. If I'm not fighting against a man, I would do it. But also, too, I grew up fighting against the guys and sparring against the guys and stuff. So to me, it's a little bit different. But I stand with women should fight against women, men should fight against
Yes.
men. So I think that with this situation, it really needs to be evaluated the right way. And I don't want to put any put out more false
Right.
information because
Clarissa Show's trying to be nice, man. Imani should have been disqualified, bro. You have elevated levels of testosterone that's tantamount to cheating, man. Get the hell out of here, man. Do not fight women. Let's go.
if you're born a woman like me, I was born a woman. But we all know that my skills and my and my strength, everything I worked on naturally. So I don't
Yeah.
even know. I've never had my level of testosterone tested. So
Right.
I just feel like we have to be fair to the women boxers who are being called men
Yeah.
because they're not men. And we also need to do a testosterone test of all the women and not
Right.
just exclude two women.
I will agree with that. If they did more testing on the testosterone of all women, let's say all the other women, excuse me, let's say all the other women had the exact same level of testosterone as Imani, right? Then it's fine. She or he can compete against. If it's elevated compared to the other women, then no, you shouldn't compete against other natural born women who have typical levels of estrogen compared to testosterone. I don't want an unfair advantage if we're playing against official rules. And you know what? That might sound wild because the Olympics has a ton of, athletes or individuals who do cheat, who do use steroids, but I don't care. I don't care. If you're gonna play the right way, let's play the right way. Let's stop playing these stupid effing games. Let's go, man.
because they have an appearance of men, because
Right.
they do look kind of like they're men a little bit, and they got strong faces and everything. But there are women that got strong faces too. So I just, for me, like I stand with what I said: men fight against men,
Yeah.
women fight against women, transgenders
Right.
fight against transgenders. You know, if that's the case. But I'm really confused on this situation because we have two women that were born as women.
Yeah. Does it, Clarissa, and tell me if you agree with this, Clarissa, it seems like, or let me ask you this: do the Olympics need to be more transparent? Because, right, like you said, 2023 championships, Iman is about to fight for a gold, and they say, yeah, she's got these elevated levels of testosterone, and because of that, they disqualify her. The Olympics says, hey, no problem, she's good to compete. Do the Olympics need to be more transparent? Do they need to be more?
The interviewer is exactly right. The Olympics need to be a lot more transparent about which athletes are fighting which athletes. Let's say I'm a woman, I've been working my whole life to make it to the Olympics and fight to represent my country and represent my people. And then I come in and I'm facing a female. It's completely unfair because naturally a man. I'm going to dominate this woman. But let's say the other way. We're talking about the Imani situation. I am a male and I'm facing against women. I'm going to absolutely dominate them. So the Olympics and the IBA, International Boxing, you know, authority or something, is very, very outdated, and their methods of testing, International Boxing Association, needs to be upgraded because now they've caused confusion and global controversy. Let's hear what Clarissa has to say.
More open, because there do seem to be so many questions about the status of these two competitors. Because we don't even know what they are. We know.
That's the problem. These bureaucrats, these MFers in offices and places of power that don't actually make things clear, that obfuscate, that work in such a bureaucratical way that they don't know how to speak to people real and do real ish.
We know nothing, and
All I know is that I have read up and I've been hearing that these are two women who were born as women,
yeah,
and they're not transgenders.
Right.
They're not like
yeah,
women, men that and men now they're women. They were
Right.
born women.
right.
I have never heard of this testosterone testing. I've never heard that, oh, yeah, you're a woman, but if your testosterone level is over a certain amount, now you're a man. I've
Right.
never heard that.
Right.
And it is such a weird situation because
Yeah.
if they fought 2021, 22, 23, I mean, all the way up to the gold medal at the world championships, what was the factor?
Great question. If they've been scrapping through that whole time, why is it a controversy now? I know why. I know exactly why. People want to make money off this transgender issue. Now, look, I'm gonna be real with you. I've been living 29 years of my life. My birthday was about 2 weeks ago. Happy belated birthday to me. Um, I've met very few transgenders, and even more specifically, I live in a very liberal country, which is called Canada, in a kind of liberal conservative ass city, which is Ottawa, Ontario, right? We, I met like very few transgenders, very few, right? So what I'm trying to say here is it's not a large population, it's not a large controversy, it's an anomaly, right? It's something that's out of the regular, out of the norm. So in general, it's new territory. If Imani was boxing against other women and had a record of 38-9, which is the record that he or she has, right? That means to tell me 9 L's. That means they're not. I'm not saying they elite. They're not that elite. They're not that up there in terms of boxing, right? So in retrospect, he or she has been beaten by other women, and if they were able to compete since 2018, because that's what the career is saying, 2018, 2024, it makes me think, bruh, I'm like, what changed now? I know what changed now. It's very clear what changed now. This transgender issue has gotten politicized, and especially from the right wing. And for me, as y'all know in this chat, I'm mostly a right wing dude, center right. I'm not hard right. You know what I mean? I'm not like far right. I'm not alt right. I'm not none of that weird ish. I'm more right wing, center right. And I find that if people are using this individual as a political tool in 2024, especially in an election year, I don't like that. I kind of find that disgusting. If this individual gets a gold medal, this controversy blows out of the water. Anyways, let's go listen to Clarissa, what she got to say.
Oh,
By the way, if y'all get the chance, like the stream. If y'all get the chance, if you're listening on audio only, I want y'all to give me 5 stars. Get inside the algorithm. Help me get to the algorithm. Help me do my thing and help me grow this beyond anything else. I appreciate y'all.
she doesn't have high level of testosterone.
Right.
Because it comes in all different forms. It can be in your muscles, it can be in your face, it can be just inside of you. And you look like a petite, beautiful woman, but you have a high level of testosterone. So I'm just so confused because I've never heard this, and I even feel bad now because I just did an interview on Fox News earlier where I literally called these two women transgenders, which that's what I was told.
Right.
So I wish I would have did my research before, because now I couldn't imagine being at the Olympics and I'm winning these fights, and then
It's kind of funny how Fox News had a pushing agenda, huh?
I see all these articles and I'm trending because two-time Olympic champ just called me a transgender. So I just feel really bad about that, and I wanted to clear it up on my end that I have found out that these two women were born women, and I don't know what testosterone stuff is about. Somebody was tweeting me and saying, "Oh, it makes them be faster, stronger." Like, if they're born with that naturally, it has nothing to do with anything.
Right. Right.
They are women.
Right. There are also reports, and I'm so far from a scientist, but that or a doctor that they've got XY chromosomes, which typically indicate being male, as opposed to.
But that's interesting because a woman can still have XY chromosomes. So extremely rare. It's mostly conditional. It's like 1%, but they can be expressed as a woman.
2X. I don't know closer. Bottom line, though, is you believe, and this has really nothing to do with these two people who are in the Olympics. Men fight men, women fight women, and if there are transgender athletes, they should fight other transgender athletes. Bottom line.
That is my stance on it.
I like that stance. I agree with that stance, though. You know what I mean? In general, by the way, get in the chat, like the stream as y'all come in. You know what I mean? As y'all rock with it in. And if you're listening on audio, I want you to give this podcast 5 stars. Help us fight the algorithm and be the algorithm. In general, I'm gonna give a similar take Clarissa Shields. If you're a man, you fight men. If you're a woman, you fight women. If you're intersex or transgender, you fight intersex or transgender people. You don't compete against either gender. And I will add an addendum to this too. If you are a woman, born a woman, and you have elevated levels of testosterone, you cannot fight women who are natural or not on PEDs or performance enhancing drugs. You cannot fight them because you have an unfair advantage. You know what I mean? You have an unfair advantage. If you have elevated levels of testosterone, you can fight men, but you cannot fight women. You are disqualified from fighting women because you have an unnatural advantage on top of them. And that's how it goes. You know what I mean? Talking about unnatural advantages, man. Let's look at this dude. Look at this dude and his potentially unnatural advantage. I don't understand how I came up with that transition, but I did. But I did. Let's talk about this dude and his unnatural advantage over another individual. Let's go.
Vice President Kamala Harris is only on the ticket because she is a black woman.
I've known her a long time indirectly, not directly very much. And she was always of Indian heritage, and she was only promoting Indian heritage. I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black, and now she wants to be known as black. So I don't know, is she Indian or is she black?
She has always
But you know
identified
what?
as a black woman.
I
She went to a
respect either
historically black
one.
college.
I respect either one, but she obviously doesn't, because she was Indian all the way, and then all of a sudden she made a turn and she became a black person.
Just to be clear, sir, do
And
you
I
believe
think,
that
I think
she is
somebody should look into that too when you ask continue in a very hostile, nasty tone.
It's a direct question, sir. Do you believe that Vice President Kamala Harris is a DEI hire, as some
I
Republicans
really
have
don't
said?
know. I mean, I really don't know. Could be. There are some, and there are plenty. I know this lady right over.
Hey, unnatural advantages. We're gonna talk about it. We're gonna talk about it, man. Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris was installed, not elected, as the Democratic nominee for the presidency. Now, if y'all asking how does that work, that's a fantastic question. Um, let me tell you. Let me tell you. In U.S. politics, right? In order to become a nominee, right, you have to have enough delegates. Okay? So we're gonna read an article about it. Harris has secured enough Democratic delegate votes to be the party's nominee, committee chair says. So let's read about it. Vice President Kamala Harris has secured enough votes from the delegates to become her party's nominee for president. Democratic National Committee Conference Chair Jamie Harrison said Friday. By the way, this article was released yesterday, and this all happened yesterday. The announcement was made. I'm going to link this again to Trump and what he said earlier to this, and I'm going to explain why. Okay. The announcement was made before the online voting process ends on Monday, reflecting the breakneck speed of a campaign that is eager to maintain the momentum after President Joe Biden ended his re-election bid and endorsed Harris as his successor less than 2 weeks ago. So, to give y'all some perspective, in U.S. politics, I don't know if y'all know this. I did my research. You need enough delegates, right, in order to be the nominee of a political party. How are delegates decided? There's sometimes delegates are decided by the uh party's committee, the apparatus of the party, right? Or they're elected in an election for delegates. These delegates represent the people, and the delegates usually do what the people say. So let's say you're in Philly, as an example, you're in Philly, and there is, the delegate, there's an election for deciding who is going to represent the Democratic Party, right? You look up the sheet, you see 3 names, okay? And in them names, you see Joe Biden. You're like, okay, bet I'm gonna vote for Joe Biden to be the Democratic representative because I'm a registered Democrat in this scenario. Okay, bet. And then all these votes come in, and then the delegate who represents Philadelphia in whatever level, whatever area of Philly I'm in, they say, okay, we have 20,000 votes for Joe Biden. Obviously, I'm going to pledge my vote to Joe Biden, right? Now, because what happens if you're an incumbent president, let's say Joe Biden, literally Joe Biden, you usually don't have a lot of competition from other Democratic nominees who want to take your spot. You have very little competition. So if you're an incumbent, usually you're going to get a bunch of pledged delegates. And what happens is the Republican Party and the Democratic Party, they have um a national conference, right? And at that conference, they decide on the nominee at that point. The person is going to represent them in the election. The delegates all pull up and say, yo, based on what the voters said, we're going to go what the voters said, and we're going to make you the representation for us. It's like, yo, our representative is going to represent what the people want. There are times where the people vote for one person and then the delegate goes for somebody else. Okay? Irregardless of that, what happens is it just depends on what the party does. So the US system is a bit strange, it's weird, but it's like a more so of a constitutional republic more than a full-on democracy. By the way, shout out to my dog Sleepy Hollow for pulling up, man. Shouts out to you, man. I'm gonna pour one. Let's cheers up. Cheers to you, my dog, for pulling up, man. Respect. We're gonna talk about Kamala Harris. And why does this matter? Why does this conversation I'm talking about delegates matter? It matters because Kamala Harris has never gotten a single vote from anybody, period. From like a person who is part of the US citizenship, who is a citizen of the United States. What Kamala Harris got was votes from the delegates who represents the citizens of the United States of America. Let me rewind back to what I'm talking about. Joe Biden, as old, as lame, as weird as he is, he got votes from the people during the primary season, right? And was going to be the Democratic nominee, right, for the presidency. It was going to happen. It was all good. It was in the books. What happened, though, is that Joe Biden had such a horrible performance in the debate versus Donald Trump a month ago that the Democrats were like, bruh, we are getting whooped. We're about to get our bombs handed to us in the election. Man, we gotta switch this ish. So they were hiding the fact that Joe Biden was old, decrepit, and couldn't compete, and decided to do a switch. So now we are in switch season. Kamala Harris has never gotten a vote from anybody, period, but then she is installed. So let's read the rest of this article, man. The announcement was made before the online voting process ends on Monday. Let me read the article from Jump again. The U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris has secured enough votes from delegates to become her party's nominee for president. Democratic National Committee Chair Jamie Harrison said Friday. The announcement was made before the online voting process ends on Monday. So the process is supposed to end on Monday. This all happened on Friday. Anyways, reflecting the breakneck speed of a campaign that is eager to maintain momentum after President Biden ended his re-election bid and endorsed Harris as his successor less than 2 months ago. Harris is poised to be the first woman of color at the top of a major party ticket, and she joined the call with supporters to say that she is honored to be the presumptive Democratic nominee. That's not go it's not going to be easy, but we're going to get this done, she added. As your future president, I know we are all up to this fight. Harrison pledged that the Democrats will rally around Vice President Kamala Harris and demonstrate the strength of our party during their convention in Chicago later this month, the month of August. The Democratic National Committee did not provide the details of the delegate vote count. Of course not. Why would they? Including a number of state by state breakdowns during a virtual event that had the flavor of a telethon, with campaign officials keeping tabs on delegate counting processes, whose results in a foregone conclusion. No other candidate challenged Harris for the nomination. So, if no other person challenged her, then this was not a competition, this was a coronation. And not just a coronation, this was a handout. Why do I not like this? I'm taking a pause from the article because most people within the history of the US, not even most, just all people within the history of the US, they had to compete against other candidates to get the nomination, bro. The few who didn't were because the previous person got assassinated and killed on some JFK Lyndon B. Johnson ish, man. So, what we're looking at again, let me just rewind this situation. You have an alleged woman of color. Some people are calling her black or black American. That's funny. That did not work to get nominated. That was installed. That was planted. Anyways, let's go. No other candidate challenged Harris for the nomination. I gotta take a swig, man. This is ridiculous. Mm. She swiftly solidified Democratic support in the days after Biden endorsed her. So in that sense, I could say that she competed because she told everybody to back off. That's a form of competition to say, yo, don't mess with me. Don't come play this game. I'm going to play the game. I'm the one who is going to represent the Democratic Party. I'm going to represent that side. She essentially cleared out her potential competition. Now, it gets dicey because she is allegedly a black woman. And I say allegedly again for a reason. If she's allegedly a black woman, right? And the vice president of the United States, she cannot in hypothetically get leaped over. And by the way, I better see the like button getting pressed up, man. I need y'all to press up on that like button, man, and increase that. Let me read the rest of this article and let me break some ish down for y'all, man. You know what I mean? So here, no other candidate challenged Harris for the nomination, and she swiftly solidified Democratic support in the days after Biden endorsed her. The Democrats still plan a state by state roll call during the party convention, the traditional way the nominee is chosen. However, this will be purely ceremonial because of the online voting. So it's some BS. Smoke and mirrors. As Harris prepares to face off with Republican nominee Donald Trump, her campaign is reorganizing its senior staff and bringing on a cadre of veterans of President Barack Obama's successful campaigns. David Plouffe will serve as a senior advisor focused on Harris's pathway to 270 electoral college votes. She needs to win the election. To take the role, he will stop consulting for TikTok. So, okay, these individuals who are deep in politics work with TikTok. Interesting. The social media app, as well as a podcast he was hosting with Kellyanne Conway, the former Trump campaign manager, according to a personal familiar with his plans. In addition, Stephanie Cutler will advise on messaging and strategy, while Ms. Stewart will serve as a senior advisor for battleground states. Brian Nelson who up until recently was an undersecretary for terrorism and financial intelligence in the Treasury Department, has shifted to the campaign to advise Harris on policy. Despite the new additions, many aspects of the campaign remain the same with the Biden candidate. Jen O'Malley Dillon will serve as the chairwoman and will oversee the entire staff structure. You know what I mean? Give me a quick second. I'm gonna put it in. By the way, shout out to Sleepy Hollow for asking the real question. Ain't she Indian according to Dr. Preach. She's an Indian. She's an Indian woman, man. And more specifically, she's a light skin. She's not even light skin, bro. She's basically just an Indian chick, dog. We all have met an Indian chick. Like, can we stop capping and pretend we don't know what an Indian bitch is? Like, what are we doing out here, man? The gaslighting is crazy, man. If I was American, I would be pissed at the, eternal gaslighting that I'm getting from not only the Democratic Party, but the crazy part is from the media. By the way, shout out to Sleepy Hollow for saying that because it leads me to put up a video of something that I saw on Twitter a while back. What I'm talking about here is that Kamala Harris has been questioned about her being black way before Donald Trump. Now, let me rewind to the video I had earlier, bro.
President Kamala Harris is only on the ticket because she.
By the way, if y'all get the chance, you better smash that like button, man. I gotta see them likes come up, man. You don't have to send me a super chat. You don't have to do nothing. All you gotta do is send me that like button. By the way, shout out my dog.
Is a black woman.
I've known her a long time indirectly, not directly very much. And she was always of Indian heritage, and she was only promoting Indian heritage. I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black, and now she wants to be known as black. So I don't know, is she Indian or is she black?
She has always
But you know
identified
what?
as a black woman.
I
She went to a
respect
historically
either
black
one.
college.
I respect either one, but she obviously doesn't, because she was Indian all the way, and then all of a sudden she made a turn and she became a black person.
Just to be clear, sir, do
And
you
I
believe
think,
that
I think
she is
somebody should look into that too when you ask continue in a very hostile, nasty tone.
It's a direct question, sir. Do you believe that Vice President Kamala Harris is a DEI hire, as some
I
Republicans
really
have
don't
said?
know. I mean, I really don't know. Could be. There are some, and there are plenty. I know this lady right over.
So what we just saw again is further commentary talking about Kamala Harris and not being black. Why does this matter? You asking me, Jay, Big Stepper, why does this matter? We're gonna read this article. I'm gonna finish this article and I'm gonna tell you why this matters. This is a news article from CTV News. Shout out to CTV News. I'm gonna put the link inside inside the chat if you want to see it. CTV News is usually pretty objective. CBC News not that objective. Global News kind of objective. All right. Despite the new additions, many aspects of the campaign remain the same from when Biden was the candidate. General Melanie Dillon still serves as the chairwoman and will oversee the entire staff structure. Other unchanged senior roles includes Julia Chavez Rodriguez as campaign manager, Quinnen Fox as principal deputy campaign manager, and Michael Tyler as communications director. She next will continue as Harris's senior advisor and chief of staff on the campaign. Former Housing and Urban Development Secretary Maria Fudge will, who recently brought on a campaign co-chair, is expanding her portfolio to include outreach and strategy. Brian Follen, who has been Harris's campaign communications director when Biden was still on the ticket, will now serve as senior advisor of communications. Elizabeth Allen, also most recently an under secretary of the State Department, will be chief of staff for Harris's running mate, who has not yet been chosen. Harris is expected to interview candidates over the weekend. By the way, there's rumors that person is going to be Josh Shapiro. And who is that? That's the governor of Pennsylvania. Who the hell is Josh Shapiro? He's a Jewish governor of Pennsylvania. Why does this matter? Because Kamala Harris needs a white person, and she specifically needs to win the state of Virginia. Sorry, Pennsylvania. My mistake. I don't know why I said Virginia. I've been talking about Pennsylvania. She needs the state of Pennsylvania because it has a lot of electoral uh, electors. It has a huge number of electoral votes that would help her win the election. Why does this matter, dog? It matters a lot. And I'm going to connect the dots for you, bro. I'm going to show y'all something funny first, but then I'm going to connect the dots. I'm going to show you something funny first, but then I'm going to connect the dots for y'all to fully understand. And if y'all here with me, man, I want y'all to like the stream, like the video, and give your boy 5 stars as we roll through, as we rock through. Rock with your boy, and I'm going to rock with y'all. Let me finish the article. Democratic officials have said that the accelerated roll call process was necessary because of the August 7 deadline to ensure candidates appear on the Ohio ballot. Ohio state lawmakers have since changed the deadline, but the modification doesn't take effect until September 1st. Democratic attorneys said that waiting until after the initial deadline to determine a presidential nominee prompts a legal challenge. Jesus Christ. That was a lot of reading. That was a lot of nonsense. But I'm gonna string all of this together again. Why does this matter? Because Kamala Harris, I do not trust that individual. And a lot of people don't trust that individual. I'm gonna show you somebody who doesn't trust that individual. Let's go.
They don't want to talk policy. They just want to use propaganda to steal your vote. The left is trying to tout this woman as a savior for the black community, but all she's done is hurt the black community since she came into the game. See, the first step in destroying the black community is to dismantle the black family. So aside from her record as a prosecutor, why don't we ask Mrs. Willie Brown if Kamala Harris cares about black families?
I'm gonna run that back.
They don't want to talk policy. They just want to use propaganda to steal your vote. The left is trying to tout this woman as a savior for the black community, but all she's done is hurt the black community since she came into the game. See, the first step in destroying the black community is to dismantle the black family. So aside...
By the way, if y'all rock with me, man, I gotta see them likes come up, man. I better see them likes bling up. I better hear y'all in the chat. Shout out to my dog Sleepy Hollow. That's a real one. Anybody else want to hop in the chat? Hop on, man. Let's go, man. Let's go.
From her record as a prosecutor, why don't we ask Mrs. Willie Brown if Kamala Harris cares about black families?
If y'all want to have context of that situation, I'm gonna help y'all get context and understand what she's referring to. Willie Brown was a very influential politician in San Francisco. Okay? And he was the mayor of San Francisco at a certain point. The thing about Willie Brown was that he was married to obviously Mrs. Willie Brown. All right? Cool. No problem. He's married to Mrs. Willie Brown. He's doing his own thing. During this marriage, essentially, he decided to start cheating on his wife with a young 28 or 29-year-old Kamala Harris. Excuse me. Keep in mind, Willie Brown is in his 50s at this point. Basically, she was a side chick. She was a side chick. You know what I mean? And essentially, Kamala came up the Democratic political ranks, right? And became powerful or became influential, right? For the simple fact that she had a relationship with a very, very powerful man within the Democratic system, you know what I mean, within San Francisco. within California. Willie Brown was very connected. Willie Brown had a lot of power. So what we're talking about here is Kamala Harris is an individual, right, who I think obviously had a lot of merit in order for her to get what she got. But at the same time, she's an individual who had to do things that were unethical to get to the top. Now, you could say unethical could be up to all kind of reasons. I'm saying unethical to the point that she was sleeping her way to the top, bro. There's women out there, a lot of great women out there who actually work their tail off and actually do their own thing to actually make things happen, bro. You know what I mean? There's a ton of great women who do that. And I salute them women, right? But then there's also women who are laying on their back in order to get what they gotta get. Now, am I mad at them women? I'm not mad at them women. I just say, yo, I don't give you as much of respect as other women who are actually doing what they gotta do the right way, though. And we have to be individuals who just keep it a being and say, yo, this is a woman who laid on her back in order to get to the stacks. In order to get to the like, let's stop pretending and lying like what we doing, man. What is we doing, man? So Kamala Harris, in this analogy, in this video, right, was dealing with Willie Brown, okay, a married individual, to move up politically. She's a power climber. She's a fake. That's the argument that this lady is saying, this black woman is saying. Now, in all fairness, so is Donald Trump. Donald Trump is a very fake individual as well. So you're dealing with two fake individuals. It depends on which side you want to go on, man. Let's run that. Let's run that back. Let's run it back. Let's run it back. I like it.
They just want to use propaganda to steal your vote. The left is trying to tout this woman as a savior for the black community, but all she's done is hurt the black community since she came into the game.
And for me, man, as somebody who's kind of an outside observer, I don't like the hypocrisy, obviously, on both sides of the political debate or the political view. But I don't like when people try to raise a black person just because they black and make it seem like that person is a savior. Right? And in general, we got to question, is that person black? Let's finish off this clip, and then we're going to really look into the situation. Is Kamala black? Let's go.
See, the first step in destroying the black community is to dismantle the black family. So aside from her record as a prosecutor, why don't we ask Mrs. Willie Brown if Kamala Harris cares about black families?
Man, like the video, man. As I say, I personally believe that all these politicians are liars. I think they all capping. I think they all find ways to fit in, to get along, just to go along, just to get along, and try to find all kinds of strategies to maintain, sustain, and gain power. Kamala Harris is a woman who's pretty, who decided that yes, my father is Jamaican, even though I have no relation with him. My mother is Indian. And in order for me to succeed in California politics or to gain power in California politics, I have to get close to power, mingle with powers, give him a favor to give me a favor, a quid pro quo type of deal. And you know which people were calling out Kamala Harris before she all of a sudden became a brat? It was the left. It was the left because, again, Kanye West, I'm not even bullshitting. Kanye West has more votes from the public than Kamala Harris. So Kamala Harris tried to go and become the Democratic nominee in 20, I believe this was 2019, 2020, around the election. And she got absolutely destroyed. She got absolutely destroyed. And I'm gonna explain why this matters about her race. I'm gonna put another video on y'all, man. I'm put another video on y'all. Y'all pay attention, dog. Let's see what's up.
Okay, that's fine. I agree with that. I agree with that. But is she African American? No. But is she African American? There's a difference. There's nothing wrong with that. No one is trying to take anything away from her.
Let's go down into her lineage.
I think you're falling into the trap of that. All she had to do was say, "I am black, but I'm not African American." That's it.
I'm not falling in a trap. I'm not falling in. Let me finish. Hold on. I'm not falling into a trap by that. When she goes down her lineage, many Africans landed in Jamaica and all these other Caribbean islands. So she could indeed
Jamaica's
be
not America.
African American mixed with other races. But she is
Jamaica's not America.
But she is a black woman. She was
Jamaica
born
did not
here.
come out of Jim Crow.
Okay, well
I'm
let's go into Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz was born in Canada.
I'm not talking about Ted Cruz. This is not about Ted Cruz. You're changing the subject.
But you know what? We cannot. It was hypocrisy. I'm not changing the subject.
Yes, you are changing the subject.
She's a black woman. I don't know what you want.
Cruz.
Okay.
Whoa, was that Don Lemon from the left spitting some facts, man? I think we gotta run that back. We gotta speak to me, people in the audience. Should we run? Yeah, we gotta run that back. That was fire. I'm running it back. I don't care what y'all say, man. Shout out to y'all, but I don't care.
Woman.
Okay, that's fine. I agree with that. I agree with that. But is she African American? No. But is she African American? There's a difference. There's nothing wrong with that. No one is trying to take anything away from her.
Let's go down into her lineage.
I think you're falling into the trap of that. All she had to do was say, "I am black, but I'm not African American." That's it.
I'm not falling in a trap. I'm not falling in. Let me finish. Hold on. I'm not falling into a trap by that. When she goes down her lineage, many Africans landed in Jamaica and all these other Caribbean islands. So she could indeed
Jamaica's
be
not America.
African American mixed with other races. But she is
Jamaica's not America.
But she is a black woman. She was born
did not
here.
Come out of Jim Crow.
Okay, well let's go into Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz was born in Canada.
I'm not talking about Ted Cruz. This is not about Ted Cruz. You're changing the subject.
But you know what? We cannot. It was hypocrisy. I'm not changing the subject.
Yes, you are changing the subject.
She's a black woman. I don't know what you want.
Cruz.
Okay.
I like it. I like it, man. If I was African American, I'm Canadian, man. I'm Canadian, and more specifically, I'm Rwandese. I'm from Rwanda. That's my country of origin. That's where I come from. That's where I hail from. And I'm proud of my people. I'm proud of my country. I'm also proud of Canada too, man. I've spent a lot of my life, even most of my life in Canada. But those are my identities. And I'm not afraid to speak about them and even talk about them because I'm not trying to be a politician and take an edge in order to gain more political power. But I know somebody who is. Kamala Harris. Now, could I make a whole stream about how Trump is a hypocrite and does multiple identities to attain power, sustain power, and everything in between? I definitely could do that. But the subject matter right now is Kamala Harris. And as much of a hypocrite that Donald Trump is, I find Donald Trump slightly more authentic than a Kamala Harris. And what they've done in the United States, and they do this also in Canada, is identity politics is such a huge situation that the left wing side of politics has taken identity politics to such a huge level that it's turning off the same people that wish to attain. What is identity politics? It's there, defined on Google. The tendencies for people of a particular religion, ethnic group, social background, etc., to form exclusive political alliances, moving away from broader party policies. So, identity politics is saying, yo, if I identify as this, I'm going to only deal with this. Okay? So when I say that Kamala Harris, as I say in the title, she's relating the gender war and the race. I should have added the race war, the gender wars. It's happening that the men are rejecting at a large number. They're rejecting Kamala Harris, specifically black men. Why? Because Kamala Harris represents the fake side of the left, the fake level of the left, the slimy. I'm going to covertly give you this when I'm actually going to give you that. And you know what? Maybe I'm not explaining it properly. Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. I know somebody who does know what he's talking about. Shout out to Judge Joe Brown. Let's go. Let's go. My point is here again. Black people are not a monolith. Black people are thinking with their big head, not their little head. They're thinking about, I'm not going to be a person who decides my entire life on my identity, or my politics are not going to just be based on being a black person. My identity is going to be more so on other characteristics other than my race or gender. But that's not what the Trump, the Kamala Harris campaign is thinking about. In general, it's about, oh, if you're a black male, you have to do this thing. If you don't vote for me, you ain't black. Right? If you don't do this, you are a coon. You're this, you're that. It's insulting and it's belittling and it's absolutely horrible. So we have a similar thing here in Canada. If you're not a Justin Trudeau lover, you're a racist, you're sexist, you're misogynist, you're everything under the book. Justin Trudeau literally said that in some of his own speeches, man. That's crazy. But let's look at something. Let's look at something right quick, man.
Is Kamala going to make you?
By the way, get in the chat, get in the comments, and obviously press that like button to support your boy.
A little more likely or less likely to vote Democrat?
Well, hold on, first, Ray. Hold on, Ray. Is Kamala black? Yes or no?
I'm going to let her speak on that. But to me, no.
Oh, is Kamala black? Yes or no?
I share that same view.
Wow, is Kamala black? Yes or no?
I heard she was. I heard she's half black and half Asian.
When I played that audio on my SiriusXM radio program on Thursday, many callers who self-identified as African American were quick to tell me that those men were the exception, not the rule. Some described them as low information voters, no different than you'd find among whites.
It's funny that the blackest place you can find, which is a barbershop, they're looked as low information or anomalies that people don't represent black. Man, them black men is black men, man. If you want to talk to black men, you go to a barbershop, you're going to see black men right there. It's absolutely simple. But according to them, they low informational and they're not in the know. That's how they look at you, black man. And when I say that this is creating a gender war, there's a reason, because black men, for the most part, are leaning more so on the Republican Donald Trump side. Why does this matter? We're going to go back to the clips. We're going to go back to the clips, man. We running the same clips, man. I'm running it again and again and again. Let's go, man.
Vice President Kamala Harris is only on the ticket because she is a black woman.
I've known her a long time indirectly, not directly very much. And she was always of Indian heritage, and she was only promoting Indian heritage. I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black, and now she wants to be known as black. So I don't know, is she Indian or is she black?
She has always identified as a black woman. She went to a historically black college.
I respect either one, but she obviously doesn't, because she was Indian all the way, and then all of a sudden she made a turn and she became a black person.
Just to be clear, sir, do you believe that she is...
I think somebody should look into that too when you ask continue in a very hostile, nasty tone.
It's a direct question, sir. Do you believe that Vice President Kamala Harris is a DEI hire, as some Republicans
really don't
have said?
know. I mean, I really don't know. Could be. There are some, and there are plenty. I know this lady right over
Again, again, we have to question her blackness. Why? Because this individual is not going by policies, is not going by anything of substance. They're going by their race and their identity. Back to what I'm talking about, identity politics. What does that mean? I'll tell you what that means. If you want to understand it, identity politics, again, the tendency of people of particular religion, ethnic group, social background, etc., to form exclusive political alliances, moving away from traditional broad-based political party politics. My bad. Again, we're dealing with a situation where they just want to talk about their point of view based on your race. If you black, you only go on Democrat left wing. You can't have other opinions. Just for your identity, that decides who you are. This all matters because Kamala Harris is creating, to a certain level, a gender war. Her and her campaign. I don't think it's just her. It's her and her campaign, dog. So when Donald Trump questions if she's black, it's a great question. Because Kamala Harris, for a long time, identified as Southeast Asian. My mistake, my bad. Kamala Harris identified as Southeast Asian. And let's hear what somebody got to say about it, man. Let's hear this.
Gabbard, you took issue with Senator Harris confronting Vice.
This was when Kamala Harris was trying to get the nomination for Democrats a few years ago. At this point, though, this is when she had to actually compete against some people. This is when her campaign died, actually, though. This time she's not competing against nobody. But when she actually had to compete against some people, this is what happened. Let's go.
Vice President Biden at the last debate, you called it a, quote, false accusation that Joe Biden is a racist. What's your response?
I want to bring the conversation back to the broken criminal justice system that is disproportionately negatively impacting black and brown people all across this country today. Now, Senator Harris says she's proud of her record as a prosecutor and that she'll be a prosecutor president, but I'm deeply concerned about this record. There are too.
By the way, I want to say this, man. Tulsi Gabbard, I'd hit it out the park, man. Out the park. Shout out Mark Jackson, man. I would do ungodly things to that woman. Shout out her. Let's go.
Many examples to cite, but she put over 1,500 people in jail for marijuana violations and then laughed about it when she was asked if she ever smoked marijuana.
Mostly black men. Mostly black men. I want to remind y'all that was mostly black men. Just keep going. Like the stream.
She blocked evidence. She blocked evidence that would have freed an innocent man from death row until the courts forced her to do so.
Also a black man. Let's go.
She fought to keep cash bail. Evidence that would have freed an innocent man from death row until the courts forced her to do so. She kept people in prison.
By the way, shout out to Sleepy Hollow for giving me an excuse to post up pictures of Tulsi Gabbard. We're going to take a little break from talking about real politics and talk about bad bitches. Thank you for Sleepy Hollow for doing that. And we appreciate you. Knock it right outside of the park, man. Goddamn. Goddamn. Let me share the screen right now. Goddamn. Outside of the park, man. Out of the park. This woman is in her mid-40s, bro. Like, what? Sugar mama season F is you talking about, man? Let's go. You can surf on something else, you feel me? You can ride on a different type of surfboard, shorty. You know, feel me? And you know what? This is what happens when you have Jay after dark, when you have Big Step or Big Baby Jay after dark. Outside of the park, we got some bacas. We have a little bit of, you know what I mean? We may have a little cake, yeah. Yeah. Hell yeah. Hands down. You know, the hands might have to be down, but other areas will have to be up. Or other frequencies might have to be up. The hands will be down, but some other things will be up. Anyways, returning back to main topics.
On their sentences to use them.
See, that's what happens when I'm rocking with my boy Sleepy Hollow, man. We just be going way back and talking all type of ish. Let's go back to the main talking points. By the way, is Kamala also cute too? Is she mine too? I'm taking Tulsi over Kamala, but get in the chat, man. Tulsi, Kamala, head to head. Who y'all got and why? Get
Courts
specific.
forced her to do so. She kept people in prison beyond their sentences to use them as cheap labor for the state of California. And she fought to keep cash bail system in place that impacts poor people in the worst kind of way.
Thank you, Congresswoman. Senator Harris, your response?
As the elected Attorney General of California,
Shorty didn't even know what to say. She was flabbergasted with the facts. Let's go.
I did the work of significantly reforming the criminal justice system of a state of 40 million people.
So Kamala 10 years ago. You're talking about Willie Brown era Kamala? Now, let's take a quick pause. Shout out Sleepy Hollow for getting me distracted yet again. This was a bad bitch, man. Yes, correct. Now, she was not even in her final form. Apparently, there's that's kind of a rude nickname. They're calling her Hawk Tua. The original Hawk Tua was Kamala. But Kamala Harris with Montel Williams, now that was a bad bitch, man. Yes. You see wearing that silk? Yeah. That's sexy at this point. Now, here's the thing. Tulsi Gabbard might win this by a slight edge for the simple fact that Tulsi has some body, right? Tulsi has some body, right? And Kamala has the face. So we're talking about the face versus body debate. Eternal debate amongst men, eternal debate amongst niggas. It is what it is. So Tulsi has Tulsi has the body, but Kamala clearly has the face. Now, here's something that might put a wrench in this whole debate. Kamala has the Yeeties. And when I'm talking about the Yeeties, I'm talking about the two things in the front, right? So when you have them two things in the front, it could be very fun. Could be a very amusing situation. So you have the Yeeties in the front and the face in the front. So the front action is clearly enjoyable. But, in Tulsi's defense, this is an athletic woman. She has a cute face. The face card is not the best, but the body card is quite impressive. So we're dealing with real talent in these streets. We're dealing with a real authentic competition. And there could be some backsides. There could be some backers. There's potential of having some caketivity. But this is a debate for another time. Let's finish off. Let's finish this ish off. Get in the chat, man. I know Sleepy has some thoughts.
which became a national model for the work that needs to be done. And I am proud of that work. And I am proud of making a decision to not just give fancy speeches or be in a legislative body and give speeches on the floor, but actually doing the work of being in the position to use the power that I had to reform a system that is badly in need of reform. That is why we created initiatives that were about reentering former offenders and getting them counseling. It is why, and because I know that criminal justice system is so broken, that I am an advocate for what we need to do to not only decriminalize, but legalize marijuana in the United States.
I want to bring Congresswoman Gabbard back in. Your response,
The bottom line is, Senator Harris, when you are in a position to make a difference and an impact in these people's lives, you did not. And worse yet, in the case of those who were on death row, innocent people, you actually blocked evidence from being revealed that would have.
She forgot to add that it's innocent black men. Let's get specific, man. She didn't fuck with niggas. That's like why are we sugarcoating around it? She didn't rock with niggas and wanted niggas in jail. It's fine. Just be real about it.
Freed them until you were forced to do so. There is no excuse for that. And the people who suffered under your reign as prosecutor, you owe them an apology.
Again, what I'm saying here is that this is a fake individual that is being marketed as a real individual, right? And if I was American, I would not walk, but I would run to vote for Donald Trump than an individual who's been fake all her life in order to attain power at any cost, who is being protected by the media, who's being protected by her party, who, when she has to debate and go against other actual competitors, such as Tulsi Gabbard, not only does she fold, she loses. Again, I don't mean to say this as a facetious joke or anything like that, but Kanye West has more votes from the public, from people out here, than Kamala Harris. Let me repeat what I just said. Kanye West in 2020 received about 200 votes in the general election. Kamala Harris received 0 votes publicly. Her and her campaign didn't even make it to Iowa. But you know what? Before we close out this stream, right? And I'm gonna give, you know what? F it. I'm gonna give Kamala Harris this. Kamala Harris has big boobs. And it sounds stupid, it sounds retarded, but I'm gonna give her this. She's an attractive woman with big breasts. I'm gonna give her that. Like that's all I can give her. She is the definition of a politician who's working to make it up to the top. Now, am I gonna say that she didn't earn a lot of what she did? I wouldn't. She has big boobs. She has earned it. I have no problem with somebody earning it. She has titties, man, and a cute face that has gotten her very far in life. That can take you very far in life, but you have to have something more. And let's talk about somebody who knows more about it. Let's go, man.
How you feel about Trump calling Kamala Harris a bum?
She is.
By the way, fair use, fair use. Let's hear what the judge has to say.
She's one of those career prosecutors that suffers from character deficits. She's one of these people that has absolutely no connection with what the hell was going on. She wasn't a student at a time when there were opportunities, but she could have made some to go out and made a difference in her community that she claims, but she didn't.
Quick heads up, this matters a lot because Judge O'Brien is clearly, it's not even a joke, he's clearly right wing, but Judge O'Brien had been working within the California law system or the law industry. So he definitely had interactions with Kamala or people around Kamala Harris, because Kamala Harris was the district attorney for California, the entire state. Okay, so she had some kind of influence. Apart from having big boobs, obviously she had influence in the state of California. I'm not gonna say that she slept her way to the top, but I'm gonna say the facts to the facts that she had a weird journey into getting to the top of that level. And Judge Joe Brown's gonna talk about it. And on the back end, I'm gonna explain why that matters. By the way, I'm happy that I'm getting Sleepy Hollow to laugh. I rock with that. I'm cool with that. That's my dog, man. Let's run it.
And her claim is a false one. So I don't appreciate her taking advantage of the situation. I think it is unfair to the people who she is making a false claim of identity with. And it also is not fair to the people she ought to be identifying with. See,
what Judge Joe Brown here is saying is that it's unfair to Indian people that Kamala is not identifying with her Indian heritage. And it's unfair to people who've actually worked hard within the law industry and the political apparatus for them not sleeping around and Kamala getting celebrated and rewarded for sleeping around. That's the subtext of what Judge Joe Brown is saying here. Let's go.
Traded into the United States. They're fine people. And it also is not fair to the people she ought to be identifying with. See, we have a lot of Indians that have immigrated into the United States. They're fine people, but they've got one big problem, that is the transplantation of untouchability into America. That's the caste system. You may have somebody that's a multimillionaire that owns the company and the office building, and if he comes from the untouchable caste and somebody who's Indian does not, brushes up against the boss coming out of a conference, they have to go through a purification ritual. That kind of nonsense needs to have no place in the United States of America. So she's a Hindu, but yet she has done absolutely nothing to better the condition of the many Hindu or Sikh or other people from India, the Tamil Brahmin caste.
That's actually surprisingly a good point. That's not even a surprisingly good point because Judge O'Brown makes a lot of great points a lot of the time. Shout out Judge O'Brown. What has she done for the Indian community? She grew up with an Indian mother, Southeast Asian mother. What has she done for the Southeast Asian community? She's almost ignored them. If I was Southeast Asian, I'd look at her funny. I'd be like, "Oh, what you done for us?" Apparently, they're not like us. Is accurate.
Whatever, she's done absolutely nothing to make their condition better here in the United States except to grin about it. So she's not doing anything for us. She was essentially in California the number one enemy for young black folk. So what has she done? And why should I emulate her or support her when on an objective basis, and I took a checklist, how many people did you help out? How many people did you condemn when you had the opportunity to deliver justice and equity? How many did you do? How many did you do the opposite with? Got a whole lot. Oh, man. How many people?
By the way, for any boxing fans, Pitbull Cruz just lost. I'm catching up right now. Pitbull Cruz just lost to Jose Valenzuela. Yeah, Valenzuela, who is now the new WBA super lightweight champion. This is crazy. This is nuts because now Pitbull Cruz is kind of going down lower in the ranking, and that Gervonta rematch looks less and less likely. He might have to fight Ryan Garcia, but that's just me speaking my boxing ish, man. The good point is Terrence Crawford is about to fight. It's gonna be a great card. Is Israel Madriavov, whatever. It's gonna be very, very interesting. Let's find out what happens. Irregardless of that, Judge Joe Brown is going in. What he's saying again is Kamala is a fake individual and somebody they shouldn't trust. Why does this matter for the gender wars? Because you have a ton of black women, not only from the United States, but also Canada and around the world, who think that black women are immune from being slimy, waste, fake politicians. No, Kamala Harris is a human being who's going to do human ish in the quest for power and influence, including lie about her heritage and who she really is. Judge, talk to him, man. I'm gonna peel out for a little bit, man. Let's talk to him.
On a certain
Like the stream, 5 stars on the video, man. Let's pop it. Let's pop it.
side, help exploit people. All of these folk that got jacked up with those crooked mortgages, who lost their homes, you didn't do a damn thing to help them out. You helped out the fat cats who were ripping them off, Soros and Mnuchin. You didn't help out my 3 neighbors who were losing their property. You didn't help out the other people who were in jeopardy of losing their property or got caught up in a trick bag that other counties had returned 5,200 indictment counts trying to protect them. You dismissed them, so somebody that's raising money for your political ambitions gets to sell the company for $4.2 billion. I could go on. I'll give you another illustration. It's kind of funny. What do they call somebody black mixed with somebody white?
Black.
Yeah. If somebody is black mixed with somebody that's Chinese, what do they call them?
Black.
Somebody's mixed with somebody that's Indian, what do they call them? Meaning Hindu type Indian.
They call them black.
But her people acknowledge she's a Hindu. So how do you beat the rule if you have the rule applied to you? That's because she's not. She's a fake. So what are you protecting? See, that's the question. And I'm not dissing AKAs. My own mother was an AKA. She pledged 1934. She's ivy behind the wall. She's been dead for a while. Loyal AKA for years, decades. I'm not bad-mouthing them, but I got a license to make a comment about it. It's like, you see, when somebody's down and has a poor or negative self-concept or perception, they'll seize on anything to make themselves look better. You can even take connection. Look at what was happening in Germany in the 1920s and 1930s. Germany only became a country in the 1870s. So they weren't even 50 years old in the 1920s. That's within the lifetime of a lot of people who weren't even as old as I am now, where Germany had become a country. You had a lot of pride. You just got your behind whipped in World War I, and you needed a scapegoat. You wanted something to identify with. Somebody started telling you about your glorious heritage, and you were dealt with as descendants of kings and queens. Sound familiar? Who ruled things, and they were blonde-haired, blue-eyed supermen, Aryans from the far north. Well, the problem is Aryans do exist. They're technically in anthropology known as Indo-Aryans, but they look like Kamala and her daddy, and they come from India.
Do you hear that? I've already seen this video before. I've analyzed this video before. Did you hear that? Indo-Aryan. Indian Aryan. Again, what we're getting to again here is that this is a fake individual, man. This is a fake individual that lies and caps about who she is in order to fit in to whatever they got to fit in. A fake chameleon who's interested in fitting in, getting along to get along, in general. Okay, and their history does not match who they identify as. Judge Joe Brown, talk to him some more.
And it did have something to do with Germany. But you see, you told a lie and people seized on it. If you listen to some of the woke folk, particularly black ones, they have shall we say, a revision of history to make identifications with certain groups that they think give them status.
There you go.
You know what I'm talking about, some of the things that are out there. That's the
Right.
same thing they did with the Germans in the 1920s and 1930s. So what goes on when you do this, there is a tendency, black females particularly show this, to seize on something they can identify with, to give themselves a false pride. They already have enough to be proud of if they actualize their own potential. But they have not been raised, acculturated, and socialized to think that way. So you have to give them something that has the semblance of respectability that they can identify with. So they identify with Kamala Harris as a successful black woman. But Kamala Harris didn't particularly go to the first-class undergrad school. The law school was the same. It wasn't like she busted her ass in all of these jury trials and she did what Johnny Cochran did back in the 60s when he was working at the DA's office and then when he got in private practice. It wasn't like she made these landmark cases, took these civil rights things up and made history with them. It wasn't like that. She screwed her way to the top through a series of...
There you go. We're getting closer to the truth. She screwed her way to the top. Now, regardless of how you feel about that, right? That's more common than people think, man. Like, I'm not saying it's happening all the time, every time, but there's people who are smashing their way to the top, bro. like, and like for us to just be ignorant of that is just ignorant as hell. They'd come out and do that. This is an allegation from Judge Joe Brown, but is it substantiated? Maybe, because she was with Willie Brown, a very powerful person in California politics.
Paramours who helped her out. Anybody can do that. So you've got this subconscious thing by the black woman saying, I could do that. But on the other hand, I want to ignore that. And I want to say she got there by grace.
On merit. And that's commonly what's happening here in this debate. The debate, again, is not necessarily if Kamala Harris is a good or bad person, a hoe or not. The debate here is if she's genuine about who she is or not. That's why a lot of people have questioned her race, a lot of people have questioned her morals, and a lot of people have questioned if her candidacy is legitimate.
Of her accomplishments. No, she has none. But you see, it's something to identify with. A sister got to be vice president of the United States. I'm black and I'm proud. Well, she's not black. She's not being proud of what you got conned. So why don't you just say, I just need to work hard and I will be able to look in the mirror and I don't need a Kamala Harris. I can look at myself and say, I'm that person. I'm that entity. I'm that kind of hero or heroine, see.
And the last points that Judge Joe Brown made were perfect. They were perfect because they go back, they make a callback to the thing that a lot of us are afraid of. A lot of us are afraid of just being ourselves. A lot of us are afraid of not having an avatar. A lot of us are afraid to actually look these politicians in the face and say, I'm not buying what you're selling. I'm not going. Like Terrence Crawford tonight. Terrence Crawford ain't going. Terrence Crawford was about to whoop some feet. I'm guessing 8th or 9th round. In general, man, I just want y'all to understand and overstand that the political class wants division. Regardless if they're in the States, regardless if they're in Canada, or anything in between, they like division. Okay? And an individual like Kamala Harris, and I'll say this, even Trump, they're agents of division. But I'd rather have somebody who's an agent of division and show it to my face and be authentic than an individual who pretends to be one race and is actually another race for political gain. A person who is a social climber strictly for the check, who's bouncing on that DICK for the VOTE. And I'm going to finish it off this way, man. That's how I'm going to finish it off, man. Appreciate y'all for tapping in. Give me one more last like before y'all head out, man. I'll finish off with this, man.
They don't want to talk policy. They just want to use propaganda to steal your vote. The left is trying to tout this woman as a savior for the black community, but all she's done is hurt the black community since she came into the game. See, the first step in destroying the black community is to dismantle the black family. So aside from her record as a prosecutor, why don't we ask Mrs. Willie Brown if Kamala Harris cares about black families?
And on that note, we out. Big J TV, man. Appreciate y'all for tapping in. Patreon exclusives, everything in between. Appreciate y'all. Y'all have a good night, and I'm out. Deuces.